All right, friends. Nicholas here with DIVO TED Talks, Devoted Talks, depending on how you want to say it, where we take ancient wisdom and practices through a modern lens and experience to help you and those you love in suffering in your personal and greater worlds alike. And I am excited. So we have started to gain some traction with our social media and with YouTube and making these videos and this podcast. And it's really exciting. And I'm not sure what causes one thing versus the other, but what I am noticing is that one, when I'm recording, I'm always super directed on target, and I'm committing to in these this next season that's coming up. So we got this episode and then one more, and we're considering that season 2, and we're going to move into season 3. And each season is going to be a whole year, and it'll be 3 episodes a week. And so that comes out to 156 episodes per season. So that's how we're doing it right now. And if something else looks better as we're going, we will handle that when it comes. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. I really have a topic in mind today that I want to cover because we don't always talk about it, right? Life frequently has situations and things that we don't get what we want. It doesn't turn out the way we thought it was going to turn out. It becomes problematic in different ways. And we get really upset or flustered or, in the challenge of it, are struggling for it. And so I had that experience yesterday, but it didn't get to me. Like, I have this phone, and it's been on its last leg. I've cracked the back of the screen. I've cracked this. I knew it a long time ago. I didn't get an OtterBox, and I know better. I just drop my phone a lot. And so I need a protective case that is accommodating such trauma that might happen, and I had cracked my lens. And so I've had to take pictures very strategically over the last year instead of what I did yesterday, which was run my insurance that I pay for every month for my phone and get a new one. I only had to pay $99, and I had a new phone within less than 12 hours. And I could have done that for the last 6 months, and I hadn't. Sometimes life throws us curveballs or throws us things that force us to do the thing that we either have been intending to do and avoiding, or have just not got around to. And so sometimes life facilitates that, and sometimes it is not on the pleasant side, at least by appearance, right? I was talking to a friend who really had always wanted to live by the river in his city or his state. Like, he likes water. He had originally been on a lake, and there was a flood in his apartment. So one way, he got water, but two, they couldn't remedy it. So he couldn't shower. So he had to move into a new apartment that now has a view of the river. And so he actually got what he wanted, which made me think of a story several years back where I wanted a new car, and I had this very specific thing in my mind, but I had this vehicle that I was going to drive into the ground. Well, I got into an accident, and guess what? Very soon after that, I had the car that I had wanted, and even wrote down on a vision board / on a sticky note. And funny enough, this guy had said that he had written it on his vision board of having a place by the river. So it's funny how that works, right? But anyway, I've been intending to either trade in my phone or whatever, but I didn't want to have to pay money on a debunked phone that I couldn't trade in, because I wanted to get my trade-in value for it. I've the last 2 phones before this one, I kept in great shape. This one has just been drop, 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 break, break, break. But it was actually also really funny. A lot of synchronicities lining up. When I dropped the phone, the screen display messed up at this point from the jarring, and it made like this white line down the side, but it also turned the phone yellow. I've been complaining about how yellow the sky has been because of the pollen, and then all of a sudden I had yellow in my phone, which was just a funny synchronicity. So anyway, life may not always deliver our greatest desires in the way that is most comfortable or the way we would have chosen, but it is always going to deliver it in the path of least resistance for you. And so the time is going to relate to the resistance. How it comes to you is going to relate to that resistance, but it will come to you at some point in some way, shape, or form. It just may not be exactly as you envisioned or intended in the first place, right? Setting intentions can be very demoralizing, because if you get super specific, you may be holding things at bay that are just as good, if not what you are wanting or what you actually wanted in the first place, but don't know because you're so stuck on the details. And furthermore, if you're looking for one thing, you can't see the other things, right? We have this reticular activating system, and so it can cue in and tune into things very specifically. And so that may be holding things at bay as well, because you're looking for one thing and you can't see any of the others, which is very similar to what I just said prior to that. But, last but not least, we have this escrow of desires and wishes. And so some things may be able to come in compounded ways, but because of the compounding or their association with different things, they may not look like what we were thinking about. And so we're resistant to it or restricting ourselves from accepting it because we can't see how they line up or how they're together. Or furthermore, some of us may not believe that we deserve things, which is a whole nother level of the crazy life and world that we live in. But all that being said, sometimes life and universe and God or spirit or however you want to identify it takes it into their own hands and they're like, fine, it's about time, bink, and then they make it happen, right? How many times am I going to drop the phone before I get a new one? Until the battery didn't charge and the display was destroyed. That was it. That was what I needed. And this thing works like a dream now. And I'm like, I should have done this so much sooner. But we don't know what we don't know. We're not going to make decisions that we're not really thinking about. And, if we haven't put ourselves out there to be receptive to those things, they won't happen. And so here we go. Life is going to take us via the path of least resistance to our greatest desires, right? The vortex of creation, if you talk about it from an Abraham Hicks type point of view, this escrow that I was talking about, it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter how you conceptualize it, right? The details actually start to diminish the possibilities of the things. What is most important is that you are connected to your thoughts and feelings, because if you are connected to negative thoughts and feelings, you're going to be heading away from or towards things that are different than your greatest wants and desires. Whereas if you're following your greatest positive and or feel good aspects or feelings or whatever emotional states, you're going to head towards those things that match that state. And so you become a magnet as you are curating this state of being that will guide you towards these greatest things. And so if you're highly magnetized, it's probably a faster path than if you are negatively oriented. You're still going to head towards it, but the resistance based on what you're more attuned to is going to influence deeply. So what does that mean for you from yoga and Ayurveda? Yoga and Ayurveda help you stay tuned to the positive, to the good things, and the good feels, right? And or offer quick remedy and resolution to negative feelings so that you can get back into that copacetic state, which is going to guide you quickly to your highest and best, right? And it's not that you're not going to have struggles. It's that you aren't as impacted by them because one, you have practiced one state more than another, but also because you know how to take whatever is coming at you and transmute it into your highest enlightenment and good. All right, my friends. And that is how you be well and be free.